Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Eden Fractal Week 7. Well, we had some issues with submitting the consensus today and this morning for last week, so we didn't get like the promotional kind of tweet out and stuff as normal. So there might be less people here today than normal since people might not be sure. I sent out in a couple places, but I think James is also trying to figure out how to do that, but he's getting an invalid memo too. So we'll see how it goes. And then I suppose we'll probably just wind up getting that out later.
Yeah, it's working. If you go in blocks.io, you log out, you log in again, and you choose Kleos EOS C, and then you paste the command of the Kleos command, copy paste, and it will works.
Okay.
Works, but something is wrong with
the
the
command
transfer.
that Matthias has sent to you. You take the Kleos command and you copy paste that directly into the blocks.io by connecting with the wallet Kleos EOS. That should work like that.
Okay, cool.
I have put you a screenshot into the Eden Fractal Discord. That should work like that.
Thank you.
I don't understand why when we choose the action submit, that's the ranking action, and we put the JSON, it say invalid memo. But normally if you give the command with the Kleos command line directly from blocks.io, you can connect with Kleos. You don't do that. You don't have to do that in a command line in your system command line. You go directly into blocks.io and you choose Kleos as a connect wallet, and that should work like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool feature. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, blocks.io, you can connect directly with Kleos. EOSC is a tool developed by EOS Canada. It's a version of Kleos for Windows. If you are under Windows, you can use EOSC. EOSC is a version of EOS Canada team by Alexandre Bourget. Yeah, so you can use that. That's do the same as Kleos, but for Windows. And be careful with the quotes. You have to unescape the quotes. You have to put sometimes a backslash before each quote. You have to put a backslash. That's a nightmare. But if you go into blocks.io and you choose to connect with the wallet Kleos EOC, you can paste directly the command that Matthias has put you, and you don't have to unescape each quote. And yeah, that's a nightmare. Yeah.
Very familiar with
yeah,
that.
basically I have sent the funds. That's the news. Now the Eden Fractal has 500 something like that funds into it. So we are good for a while. I mean.
Yes, thank you very much, Patrick. That's much appreciated. And I was also working on getting a tweet sent out that both showed who joined and distributions last week, and then also a thank you tweet to Nova Crypto for the generous sponsorship. So thank you.
My pleasure. Tadas is here also. Chris. So we have how many? 11 people today for the moment.
Yes, and I suppose I think everybody knows what to do, so I won't bother with sharing the presentation as I normally do. I think is probably the best way to do it.
Was there the networking event today?
No.
What for a networking event?
So we're setting up a networking event here at 12:30 UTC.
Yeah.
And we've been discussing, we want to kind of set up some protections for the members before we start promoting that.
Mm-hmm.
we also have to, Dan brought up a really good point about keeping in mind the language. We're kind of siloed into English in this group. And so we have to make sure that we're targeting English speakers. Of course, a lot of the Bs do not speak English. And
Yeah.
so like our first swarm, we didn't, I can do it a different way where the Bs will not join this meeting when we do the swarm, but the technology is ready, we're ready. And it's just about setting up I guess the user agreement and putting some other kind of governance guidelines before we really start promoting it.
Okay. Okay. So when I have joined as an Electro B, I have chosen English as language. That's okay.
Yes, yes, Patrick's an Electro B or level 2.
I'm an Electro B. That's nice. That's very nice. Your swarms. I encourage everyone to join. If you have if you have not a lot of followers, it's not a problem. You will grow. That's the idea also.
Right.
Yeah. Nicola, you have joined your swarms with your
Hello.
profile. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have. Okay.
Yeah. Even
Hey.
though I have only 50 subscribers, but that's fine.
Félicitations. Congrats.
Merci.
De rien.
Nice.
Where's
Super.
the join link for that, Jesse? I'm on your Twitter. You got a pinned tweet. It says to join, but then there's no link.
Oh, I'll fix that. I'll have a new, but I
oui.
will link the join link is in the Bywire article that we set up,
Ah, yes. Yes.
Okay.
which is, I'll put it in the chat here and I'll make sure, thank you, Chris. I need to update that pinned link on the Twitter.
Another thing of note is that the multi-sig is now configured with the owner permission decentralized. So there's 6 people on the multi-sig and it has a 5 out of 7 threshold. So that's a nice step in the decentralization of Eden Fractal. And then also, given that we have a relatively smaller group today, I think it's a good opportunity for us to, I mean, we only have 5 minutes until we start the breakout rooms now, but now and then after the breakout rooms too, I think it's a good opportunity for us to like maybe do some planning for the future. So as Ami mentioned, I know Felix is excited about the new addendum that Dan Larimer released for the Genesis fractal. So that's something that we can consider, although I think that, well, it's something that's definitely worth considering, although I'm not sure if it's in our best interest to adopt it right now. And then also, I think that for the governance process we talked about last week, I think that the way that we should do it probably is have it where we use consortium, the app that Vlad and Lenar have built, that's a voting app, as like our official voting proposal system, and make it where we basically use the Genesis fractal interim consensus process, but we have it where rather than just the people who are ranked 6 that current week vote, we have it where people who are ranked 4, 5, or 6 that week can vote. So each week you can get 2/3 plus 1 consensus from people who are ranked 4 or 5 or 6, and then they can enact proposals or something like that. I don't know if enact is the right word, but approve proposals that are submitted with consortium on chain. So I'm curious to hear what everybody thinks about that. And then I think that also of note is that Dan Larimer and the Fractal team are planning to release a new Fractal contributor agreement that takes into account Dan's new insights about the legal status of DAOs with that article he wrote about UNAs and general partnerships and so forth. They're planning to release that on the 6th of August. And so I'm thinking maybe in the next week or two, or maybe we wait for August 6th, we can start the formal governance process and use something very similar to what the Fractally Genesis is using for that Eden contributor agreement, and then enact a couple basic rules, like make it so people need to have an EOS account, they need to use the React app that Vlad built to submit their consensus results, and they need to like speak English and show up on video and so forth, a couple things like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna hop in real quick before we go in our breakout rooms. Yeah, I encourage everyone here, if you guys can stay afterwards. I'm starting to book this in for 2 hours. So, you know, the first hour for the breakout rooms, the next hour for like next steps, plans. Yeah, so we'll discuss more of the plans afterwards. The only other thing quick on top of mine. So I don't know how many of you guys participated. I was hoping to see Gabriel come and show, but I'll try to pull him in. But basically he held an event for Eden, and everyone was like, we're basically, I don't know, potentially writing a book here, right? It could be like, it was cool. All of us was in a Word doc and we all started writing. And so he's going to be doing these workshops weekly. I find that as a contributions towards Eden. And so this is a way that we can start to pull like other Eden members into the Eden Fractal if we show up over there, and then also advocate for the Eden Fractal, like, hey, come over here, come get your respect for your contributions, like come share that as a contribution, right? You took time out of your week to come collaborate for Eden, and that should be, you know, I think ranked a little bit into your decisions of like when we go into our breakout rooms. But that's just something I wanted to bring up beforehand, and we can discuss more of that, you know, afterwards as well.
Yep, sounds great. Thanks, Felix. And yeah, one other thing I'll say too is that, well, I don't know if it's super relevant here, but because there's only 12 people here, the EOS amount of distribution will be higher. So whoever's ranked 6 will probably get something like 20 EOS rather than like 10 or 15. And then when we promote it for next week, we can promote it with both like the large audience of last week and then the higher EOS this week. So that's pretty cool. But it's 13:15 UTC. Is everybody ready to go into the breakout rooms?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Oh, and Jorge just joined too, which makes it 13 people. Now we have to decide how to do it. 13 people, I guess 3 rooms, and we do 4 and 5 in that. I think that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And welcome, Jorge. Also welcome to Das and Marco and Illich, or Arliss rather. Thank you for joining, and we'll go into the breakout rooms now.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry for integrating late. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks for joining us, and you're welcome.
Dan. I vote for Dan.
Hey, hold on one second. I'm getting my audio fixed. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And hi, great to see you. For some reason, it always changed my audio whenever I enter the breakout room, but it's good now. I like your pineapple hat, Nicholas.
What did you say? My cap.
Yes, your pineapple
Okay.
hat.
Yeah, I always wear it now. I always wear it now.
Okay, cool.
And it's ananas, you know, the international word. Only in
Yeah.
English it has a weird combination of pine and apple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ananas, pineapple. A very strange, interesting language here that we have. Let's see. Sorry, I've been a bit distracted. This whole morning has been kind of crazy with the thing that we were trying to get the consensus results submitted. And so normally I have time to prepare like all these things and prepare a presentation. I was trying to do it the last second and so forth. So, but anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Would we like to jump into it and start sharing contributions?
Okay, can everyone make a short introduction? Because I don't know everybody here.
Sure, sounds good. And yeah, by the way, Nicholas, it's great to see you and meet you in face to face. We've spoken a bit and I've seen you, but this is the first time we're seeing each other. So yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
Dancing Joy. I work in EOS a lot. I host EOS Hot Sauce and I host the Eden Town Hall, which you were at last week. And then I work a lot with the Eden Fractal. And I've been, well, I'll also share my presentation to share some of the stuff I've been doing with Eden Fractal, but that's that. And then I'm also a musician and a creator. So I like to make a lot of like videos and music and fun stuff as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hi, Nicholas. I'm Ami. I'm a software developer in Israel, self-employed, trying to fire some customers and make room for EOS development. I was working on a project called EOS in a box, and I have to revive it and make it work again as a real product and not just a proof of concept. It's a HTML and JavaScript web technology wallet, which uses the hardware security module of the phone. So you can use your fingerprint or Face ID, and you don't have to worry about your private key being stolen. Another thing I did was translate the book by Dan
Nice.
Larimer. So instead of English, it's in Hebrew, and I have several hundred copies of it. And I'm giving it away to people that I talk about Fractally and Eden and blockchain.
Oh, right, cool.
That's me.
So you want to introduce yourself, Vald, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'm Vlad, also a developer. Mostly have worked on two projects, Consortium and CTF, and been with EOS from the beginning, but started developing like 2.5 years ago, I think. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, cool. So for the ones who don't know me, I'm Nicholas. I'm one of the princess at EOS Bees. So I'm the French princess, and I've been a builder bee, which is a bee that has like a particular task, which is like a full-time job basically at EOS Bees. So I'm one of the builder bees. I am in charge of the all influencer research side. So we take a look at influencer profiles on Twitter, and we have created an algorithm to select them, so better select them and make them make long-term partnership with them. So to basically like make them understand what EOS is and make them join the community of EOS. And so yeah, so become eventually a Eden member, and then eventually make them incentivize their community to join EOS and to have interest in EOS. So yeah, that's me.
Who's the biggest fish you have caught so far?
Oh no, we haven't started so I started to talk to influencer, but it's just because this is my to get some feedback to how influencer react to certain topics, certain questions. So, but we haven't started yet the researcher campaign. Basically, we have so yes, we started basically, but we're not fully the algorithm is not fully ready yet. So we really gonna start pretty soon, and so yeah, we will see.
Okay, cool. Well, Good. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your introduction, Nicholas, and then also for joining us and all the great work with the bees and everything you do. It was also a pleasure speaking with you on the Eden Town Hall too and learning more there. Thanks for joining that. And also cool learning about your brother and so forth, being Vincent. And yeah, so
He's gonna be so happy when I'm gonna tell him, "Oh, those guys remember you. They are waiting you to come back." It's gonna be like, wow. Yeah, he will be very happy.
okay, cool. Well, yeah, I'm glad that I'll make him happy. And then, yeah, it'll be cool. I never met him like in person, or I don't think we ever spoke before, but it'd be cool to meet him sometime. And yeah, if he ever wants to join any of these events or anything like that,
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
He will. He will. I know him. He will.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, and thanks so much overall, Nicholas. It seems like you've been all over the place helping a lot. So thank you for joining us very much. It's much appreciated, and all the leadership that you're doing with the bees.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all of you that just sign up to the swarm. Even though I know you don't do that for the reward, because the reward is really small. So yes, thank you for helping us.
You're welcome. And sounds good. Shall we get into contributions? Would anybody like to share their contributions first, or should I go first? What's that, Vlad?
Go.
Okay, I'll go. Sounds good. So I usually make presentations here. It's just like kind of presentations where I pick up some websites. So this one's probably gonna be super messy because I just put it together like super quick as I was trying to figure out how to send out the transaction and getting multiple error messages, and also set up a timer so I don't go too long. Yep. So this is EdenFractal.com. I've been managing this website, and I've also been planning some nice upgrades here too, like kind of doing a redesign and making some new art, which I'll show in next week. But I think that it's going to be exciting. And then I'm also planning on including the videos. I was also wondering if you mind if I include your videos here on me too. I think you're probably cool with it. But I know you've posted a couple great videos. So, okay, cool. So yeah, I've been working on in the background on improving the website. I normally put out a tweet on Twitter, but couldn't do that because of the issue. Yesterday, we updated the MSIG permission, and so I was coordinating a lot. And I previously had the owner permission, but now it's set up with an MSIG with 6 people. Vlad's on there, and we can decentralize that more over time. It's a good start for the decentralization. So that took a lot of coordination, just figuring that out over the past both day and then several weeks, much more than I expected. I was elected as a chief delegate the last week or 2 weeks ago for Eden on EOS, which I've been working a lot to serve the EOS community and Eden community as much as possible in this role. So this week, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, just like messaging and so forth. But as far as public appearances and work, so we met for the second chief delegate meeting, and I chaired it. It was the first time I chaired a meeting, so it was fun, and we had a very good and interesting discussion about Eden. And then I also participated and I co-host the Eden Town Hall show with Felix, and spoke with Nicholas there and many people who are doing awesome work. These are all published as videos that currently Felix is posting. I've been posting on Eden Creators channel as well. I've been also working on organizing. I'm thinking of like adding several more playlists here so that it can be like kind of like a full media outlet with lots of different shows. So next week, I think there's gonna be a lot more here, but currently the Eden Creators YouTube channel has a bunch of different videos, including the town halls and including also these ƒractal meetings so that people can see it. And this will also be added to the website to make it more accessible. I also hosted the hot sauce. So I hosted the hot sauce this week and did a feature segment on Eden, and then also many other great stories like Pomelo and the ENF Quarterly Report. That's a live show that I do every Friday at 16 UTC. And I also spoke about Eden and so forth at last week's EOS Community Fireside Chat for quite a while and shared lots of ideas there. And I participated in the Helios Twitter Spaces last week, 17 UTC on Friday, and spoke about Eden and fractals and EOS and stuff like that. And I also spoke about fractal governance and Eden Fractal at this World Talent Economy Forum with several members. It's not loading for whatever reason right now, but yeah, we have several Eden Fractal and great members here. And I also write the Everything EOS Weekly Report, quite a bit of it. So I did that for this week. And then Yeah, I think that was from last week. And then I also just retweeted some great messages and just have been very active in the community overall. So Ami mentioned Felix's video, and then like there's a bunch of great videos and texts and stuff from Eve and people who have been retweeting and just supporting as much as possible. So that's that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. So you want me to go next? Whatever.
Sure. Yeah, sure. If you'd like to.
Okay, so basically last week we have done some new swarm. So we've done this week 5 new swarm, which is were fully successful because we've done one with one reply of Yves Larose, and basically there has been so much likes on the retweet that we get this trended. EOS has been trending on some I don't know how we call it, some Twitter account that track the social activity on different cryptos on Twitter, and so we've been trending on Luna Crush, I believe it's the name, and so which is kind of good. We are very surprised and pleased with Jesse to see that we've kind of make a small difference at this point, even though we are just really beginning. So it's really encouraging. So we've done 5 new swarms, and they have all been great. So basically that's it. I personally keep searching new influencer and implement them in the algorithm. Also, we have been recruiting new newbies, so we are kind of find ways to make them comfortable when they join the Discord, etc. Make them understand how all of that works, because they come from countries like Africa or India or Vietnam, and some of them are not familiar with Discord. So some of them is more like with WhatsApp and Telegram. So we are trying to find ways to communicate on how the process of swarm works on all of those social media. So yeah, basically that's what we've done this week.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nicholas. And yeah, it's awesome what you and Jesse and the bees are doing with swarms too. And that's great to see the immediate success too. Also with the Palmello tweet as well, and
Yeah.
the Eden tweet from last week too. So really looking
Yeah,
forward to that. And then Jesse and I, we're actually meeting later today, and we're meeting a lot lately. And we're thinking about using the swarms with the Eden ƒractal soon to help grow the Eden ƒractal as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would you like to pick who to go next, or would you like to go next?
I'm not gonna pick someone like go. No, someone should decide. Whatever.
I'll go because I'm unmuted. I didn't do a lot the past week. I talked about Fractally to a friend of mine, a good friend, and I talked about it with a cousin. And they're not ready to join yet. People are busy with life and work. And I was really excited about Dan's amendment to the Fractally white paper, where he simplifies it and tweaks it a little bit. So I'm going to make a new simulation of using voids, which explains in a 60-second video the whole dynamics of the 2 rounds, where there's an overlap with the levels. So the first round is decide about 1, 2, and 3, and the rest of the people that are above that go to the second round, and then they get ranked 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's interesting. It limits the amount of time you have to invest in it every week to up to 2 hours, and it makes the decision on the different ranks more easy, I think, with the third level being joined for the first round and the lowest the second round. So it's interesting. I really like the justification that he gave in that document. But other than that, that was my contribution. Not a lot. Vlad, it's your turn.
Hey, James. Thanks for joining us. Good to see
Hey
you.
guys, I
Hi.
did not
Hi, man.
intend to join a room, but
Oh, okay.
it looks like this room only had 4 people, so maybe I would need to be here.
Yeah, we had a situation actually, James, and that situation came up before. So we had 12 people. There was a bit less people today because I think we didn't get the tweet out and so forth because all the technical issues. But then we had 12 and then we were about to go in the room and then Illich joined and then it was 13. And then we were like, oh, what should we do? Because we were planning on doing 2 rooms, but then we had 13 and then we split into 3 groups of 4, which I know we talked about that before, but we figured that was better than somebody sitting out, I guess. And then is that going to cause any problems with the smart contract or?
Yes, it will. It will not distribute to groups of 4.
Interesting. Okay. So
Yeah.
what should we do about this then? Do we need to go into groups, redo it into groups of 6 and just change it all?
No,
or is there any way to...
I don't care about the distribution. I think the most important part is the dynamics and talking and sharing ideas and meeting and getting to know each other. I think that's really important.
Let's talk about it after. I think there's things we can do. I don't want to hold up this breakout room.
Okay. Yeah. And I'd also, well, I'll also say too, I agree with Ami that like the, personal just meeting is most important, but also at the same time, like we want to have it where, I don't know, it's just like consistent where the smart contract's working as expected and so forth. And we don't have to do like manual interventions and it's, I suppose, maintaining simplicity and credible neutrality and stuff like that. So, I mean, if it would be a big problem to do it on the smart contract, then I suppose we could try to just reorganize into 2 groups, but I feel like it's probably best to keep going here if there are ways, James, to make it work with the groups of 4.
Yeah, let's not reorganize. We can figure it out.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I think Vlad was going to share next.
Yeah, my contributions. I reviewed and approved 2 pull requests from James to the smart contracts. Then I did unit tests for 2 functions and then some additional small fixes and also created a pull request. Then I did a small change in the UI to switch it from ranks to levels. And yeah, a bit worked on the MC and that's it.
Is there a link to the UI tool?
It's the same.
Can you post it in the chat? I don't remember what the link was. Thanks.
And James, you'd like to share your contributions?
Sure. I worked actually a lot on this contract the last week, but I haven't even, that's actually why I wanted to meet with the MSIG team, because I want to show an upgrade that I was working on secretly. But basically, yeah, I have an update which it's not quite ready yet, but it's almost ready, and it will allow the Eden fractal to have teams like the Genesis fractal, and then it'll I called them circles just in the spirit of the Eden holacracy framework. But basically, people will be able to form teams, and if we want to deploy this, then it would follow the philosophy in Fractally, where teams get double the respect. The team account will get a matching respect distribution for each participant in a weekly meeting. So I think that could be a really important upgrade. I think it's probably the most important thing that's missing from the implementation of this fractal. encourages the formation of teams who can work together offline during the week, and teams are going to be the rocket ships that, at least in theory, the Fractal philosophy is that teams are really the thing that take the cooperation of groups to the next level. So yeah, that's what I did the last week. I also figured out this morning what the problem was with the previous distribution, which was that somebody has a smart contract deployed in their account, which is blocking the distribution of EOS to their account. We identified the account, and I think that we should just remove them from the list and then distribute to everyone else. But well, I haven't done anything about it yet, so we can talk about that after as well.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. And that makes sense, I guess, why there's all those invalid memo things coming up.
Yeah.
All right, well, cool. Yeah, thanks so much, James. And then also, in addition to last week, James, you've been just like super helpful, doing excellent work behind the scenes for Eden Fractal, and as well as Eden. I saw you're posting a lot of great messages there yesterday too, or past couple of days in the chats. So yeah, thanks so much for all the stuff you're doing behind the scenes as well.
Yep.
Okay, so we have like 17 minutes left or so to do consensus. Would you guys like to do it with the Zoom chat, that method? I'd also like to nominate James as a top spot, because he hasn't been able to make most meetings. He's been busy with doing Fractal stuff, which is also super important. But he's been doing awesome work behind the scenes, and he's only been able to attend one meeting. So I think it's best to reward or give whatever the word is for James Speed level 6 for this meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Voting for James.
Okay, I agree too.
Me too. I checked. It's not so secret because you created a branch. So I already checked your code, and
Oh, nice.
solid work.
Thank you.
So can someone has the link to vote, because
It's in the chat.
Yes, but first we'll just do it. I think that you're aware
Okay.
of this, Nicholas, as Felix explained to you in the last room. Felix and I think Martin. But we'll just figure out consensus first, rather informally in this group, just between us and the Zoom chat and stuff, and then we'll enter it in the tool once we've reached consensus, and we can do that at the end of the room.
It was just in order to know.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. Okay.
So just we need to put our EOS account in the chat, right? When we write level 6, we need to, what do we need to type?
Yeah, you have to write the EOS account name. So that's James's account.
James.vr, lowercase.
Okay, I put man.
Yep, same here.
Hey, I'm trying to copy paste James VR and it keeps moving.
All right. Oh, Dan, yours is just Dan.
Yes, that's correct.
Whoa.
I tried to buy James, and I was the top spot, like on the premium name bid, and I like didn't look at it for a day and just assumed I was gonna win, and somebody outbidded me on James and won. That like they came in and snuck in at the last second and got it. So mad.
Dan has a VIP pass. Dan has the VIP pass. I don't know how he managed to have Dan so easy.
James, you can buy it on the secondary market.
Yeah, well, I sent a memo to the person who bought James. And I was like, you bastard, give me my name.
It's probably his name too.
I would imagine probably. That's surprising that happened on like the same day though, basically.
I know. I couldn't believe it.
They must have been waiting for it. I don't even know what other Jameses there are in EOS that would have done that.
I know. And it was in the middle of the like nobody was paying attention to EOS at the time. So anyway.
Except for the Jameses.
So for level 5, I will vote for Dan because he must have power to just manage to get the DAN at the EOS account. So I would say I vote for him so that he uses power to grow here. I vote for I'm joking. I vote for him anyway. It's not the reason, but
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Nicholas. I would probably say it's probably not the best criteria to vote on, but yeah, I appreciate the sentiment. I would also advocate for voting for Vlad too, because Vlad's been doing awesome work on the development front. Also, Ami too has been doing amazing work, and he's only been to a couple meetings, and he's doing incredible work in the EOS and Eden community overall. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of really great contributors. Also, Nicholas, I really appreciate you joining here. I don't know. Should we just do it in the chat and see what we think, or?
I didn't really hear most of your contributions because I joined late. So I'm not. If you guys think we have time, you could do a quick high-level summary of your contributions real quick.
yeah, if you have time. I don't know how much time we have.
Just give me like
Sure.
a 30-second pitch for yourself.
Okay, so I'll start first. So I'm a Builder at the EOSBs, and what we have done last week, I don't know if you're familiar with what is swarms at EOSBs. And so we did 5 swarm on Twitter. So we swarm 5 pieces of content. So it's tweets or replies. And
Nice.
so it worked really, really well because we got EOS trending basically on some of the training Twitter account. So we are very pleased by that. We also keep managing the new bees that we recruit. We are just creating a whole process to make them comfortable, understand what is the jobs, and anticipate the question they may have. So we are creating new Discord channel. We are creating a new way on WhatsApp. Some of our new recruits are on WhatsApp, so we are creating that. And the third thing I've been personally working on is finding new influencer to input in our algorithm, because we are creating an algorithm to select and rank influencer so that we can make long-term partnership with them and convert them into EOS. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. Vlad, did you do stuff outside of the development work? Because I saw that already.
Yeah, worked on the CTF. We're about to submit the first milestone. So different stuff there, documentation, finishing UI, also unit tests.
Yeah. I saw that this morning. And then Ami, what was your?
I'm just a nice guy, software developer. I like dancing joy, and I follow him around. No, actually, I translated More Equal Animals to Hebrew, and
Nice.
I have several hundred copies, and I'm distributing it to people I talk about fractally, and also I worked on EOS in a Box, which is a JavaScript and HTML hardware secure mobile wallet. And I made a 50-second animation of fractally using Boyd's simulation. And I'm going to redo it with the amendment that Dan Larimer made to the fractally process. So it's easy to explain.
Awesome. All right, thanks everyone. I have a better picture. Dan, I assume I know what you've done just because I listened to all of the firesides and all of the everything, but do you want to, was there more that you wanted to?
Well, I think you probably have it. Maybe I'll just run through my presentation in like 10, 20 seconds and I'll do super fast to just see how that goes. So working on EdenFractal.com website, doing the multi-sig, doing the chief delegate calls, doing the town hall calls, organizing the YouTube channel and building that out for Eden creators, doing the hot sauce and doing the fireside chats, doing the Helios Twitter spaces. I've been talking about Eden Fractal and stuff a lot there. I've also been working with Dwayne and Felix and Patrick on World Talent Economic Forum podcast, writing weekly report, and just reposting and just working constantly on EOS and Eden Fractal stuff.
Okay. Nice. All right, let's just do it in the chat, I guess. So rank 5.
Sounds good.
Or level 5. 3. Hang on, I have to think.
Is everybody ready with,
It's actually really hard.
It's super hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Also helpful to remember, and like Ami said, it's about like the fun we're having and so forth, and then also long-term thing. Bound to be unfair because everybody's doing amazing work here, but yeah.
Dan and Vlad, do you both participate every week?
Yes.
Okay. Darn. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right.
Okay.
Let's go, Dan. That I was very torn, but I think I can. Well, I can definitely be convinced to vote for Dan because Dan's doing just a shit ton constantly. So it's really, yeah, up in the air for me. I think it's also really good to reward developers because we really need developers active in this space, which is so. Anyway.
Yeah, that
yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I was gonna say that's true. I totally agree with rewarding developers, and of course, Vlad's doing like incredibly helpful work. So that's why I voted for Vlad. I appreciate the superpowers comment, Nicholas. I'm happy to go either way. I was also like split between Vlad and Ami because Ami's also doing awesome work, and he's only attended a few meetings for Eden Fractal so far. So that was part of the reason where I think Vlad and I have like maybe twice as much of the Eden respect as Ami. So maybe it makes sense to vote for Ami here. But also I think Vlad and I have been doing more for Eden Fractal specifically than Ami has overall. So I'm not sure how we should weigh that into it. I'm happy to go either way.
I think it's not really, it's not going to be super fair and exact every week, so don't worry about it. And I think your logic is reversed. And since I was participating in much fewer meetings, then I deserve less because joining the meetings is important. So I think you're above me, you and Vlad. So
okay.
All right, I'm gonna change to Dan, to Dan, and so then we have consensus.
Good.
Okay.
Unless somebody else is changing, but
so Dan, and then level 4.
Yep. And then level 4. 3, 2, 1. Easy.
That was nice.
Yes. Okay.
Wait, where's the account? Okay. Vladislav.x.
Ami, are you participating in the Genesis Fractal?
Yes. On Saturdays. Yeah.
Yeah, Saturdays. Good.
Except for when my wife buys tickets to a show or something, which happens this week.
All right, here we go. Level 3. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, my account is this. Sorry.
I voted for Ami. I actually will just say real quick, I really almost voted for Nicholas because I really think that the contribution of the More Equal Animals translation is an extremely important and valuable contribution. But I think it's more relevant to like the Genesis Fractal than the Eden Fractal. So I think I would definitely rank you very highly if I find you in my meeting on the in the Genesis
Oh,
fractal.
okay. Thanks. Okay.
But yeah,
Same too. I would definitely rank Hami highly as well. Although I'd also say that Molecular Animals is, I mean, super relevant for Eden Fractal too. I mean, as far as I see it, I think Eden Fractal is also working for that same mission in many ways and that same kind of principles. And then yeah, I was mentioning, I was advocating for Ami before, but I easily could have been advocating for Nicholas too, because I think that you know, I've said it before several times I think on this call, but I think that you're doing incredible work with the ESPs and then also joining in these calls too. And so yeah, I mean, Ami, I've also known Ami, and he's been doing really great work for like years and years. So that's part of the reason where I feel like Eden Fractal can like reward people who have been doing great work for the past years for Eden and EOS and so forth. And I think you have, Nicholas, but I haven't been familiar with the work until more recently. So, but yeah,
I'm new. Basically, I'm super new. Like it was my first Eden election, and it's my second time here at.
Nice.
So
I hope the bees make a team. If we update the Eden Fractal so that it supports circles, then I hope the bees make a circle and like the marketing circle or something like that. And then it would be really cool. All of the
we will see. It would be cool. Yeah.
Are you saying using circles for Eden Fractal instead of teams?
I'm open to either one, but just in the spirit of the holacracy framework, which was a Eden thing, I just thought I would call them circles. I think Chuck really likes the name circles more than teams.
Okay, interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I feel like teams is simpler, makes more sense. And for people who come new, teams is simpler. And circles has never really like appealed to me that much, but it's pretty cool. I'm happy to go either way.
Yeah, I don't care, but I just thought it was Eden-y because like if you go in the Eden chat, everyone's talking about circles and yeah.
I think circles are less formal, maybe.
Yeah. Which might be a good thing because teams are not necessarily organizations that form outside of, but whatever. All right, do we have the list?
Yeah, room 1 and
group 1, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to copy all your names.
So Nicholas, how long have you been involved with the EOS community for?
EOS community has been like it depends on how you define involved. Like, I've been like the first time I really took a look at EOS and what it is. It was like in I would say the early of, so it's been 1.5 years. And I joined
lowercase j.
I joined
sorry,
like 1 year
sorry,
ago.
I have to interrupt you real quick. Make sure my name is lowercase. James.
Oh.
I don't know if that will matter, but it might. EOS might yell like that.
So should I submit again?
I don't know. What's the protocol, Vlad?
So Ami, your account is Ami.
Yeah, that's 12 characters.
If it went through, then it's okay.
Yeah, it did.
Oh yeah, because yours will check that it's an account. Okay, so then it's probably fine. Yeah.
I'm gonna hit close rooms. I think they will have a minute, 60 seconds left before it kicks us out.
Okay, thank you.
Also, another thing I was going to say real quick, James. Well, I guess we have to coordinate this with room 2, see if they submitted results already. But Arliss was here for part of it, so if we're able to rank him as number 5 or rank him on level 2 for room 2, then that might help us avoid the problem of having a group of 4, because then we'd have 3 groups of 5. Because also there's another person who joined.
Okay, yeah, then let's do that. The workaround I was going to suggest was we put like the Eden Fractal account or something as if we needed one more member, then we list like the Eden Fractal account or something like that as the last account.
Put P1.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sunburn account.
Oh yeah, we can do that. Yeah, B1. Yeah. All right.
Sorry, bad joke.
5 seconds. It was good.
Yeah. See you in the main room.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey guys.
14.
Hey,
We had-
Felix.
What's up, Jorge? James, you made it. What's up?
Yo,
What's up,
made it.
James?
Hey
We
guys.
got an all-star in the house, guys.
There is an assertion failure when we submit the vote into the tool. However, that we have put it correctly the EOS account names and all. There is an assertion failure when we submit Vlad the votes.
What's the error?
Matthias, you have you have made a copy of that when we were into our room. You are muted, by the way. You are muted, Matthias.
It says account does not exist, but the account names that we typed in are definitely correct.
Are
It's
all
room
correct,
number
yes.
2.
Did you check? You check on blocks, like they are definitely the correct names.
For people who were in room
We check on
2,
blocks, yeah, they are all correct.
for people who were in room 2, the room that only had 4 people, we're thinking that if you haven't submitted yet already, it's best to put Arliss as your level number 2, because the smart contract doesn't really work so well with amounts of 4 with 4 people. And so we need to figure out some way to make it work. And Arliss was here. For some reason, he couldn't join the breakout room, or he had to go or something like that, but he was here. So I think that for both rewarding Arliss for being here and then also making it technically simpler, the people who were in that group with 4 people, it'd be best to put Arliss at level
In the chat.
2.
Yes, so the error is because there are 4
Voilà.
accounts, and it counts the 5th account as blank.
Was already.
Okay, got it.
So what is the account name that we put on level 2?
I'll get it right now. It's arliss.mlt, and I'm posting it in the chat right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, technically, we want to avoid having consensus meetings where there's 13, 14, or 19 people. Those are bad numbers because in any of those cases, you can't split up the groups into smaller groups of 5 and 6 people. And 5 and 6, at least according to the Fractally process, all groups have 5 or 6 people, which is one of the reasons why actually in Fractally we're moving towards, if you're going to start a fractal, you have at least 20 people, like 20 people is the minimum number of people for a fractal.
Okay.
20 also has other cool properties.
That's work. Yeah.
I gotta run, guys, but I also want to make one other announcement, which is last week's distribution was failing. We haven't actually sent it out yet, so we're going to send out 2 distributions now. But the reason that last week's failed was because someone participated. I don't see them here today, but somebody participated with the EOS name. What was it? BitVios Games. Whoever that was participated, and they have a smart contract deployed on their account that is listening for transfers and basically rejecting all transfers unless the memo matches a certain thing. So because our contract automatically sends EOS out, it's possible that anybody can deploy a contract to their account and block the transfer, which will block the transfer to everyone since it all happens in the same action. So it's really, I think the standard operating procedure here is just to say, if you do that, you're just going to get removed from the distribution list.
Wait. Yeah.
if you want to participate in this, give us an EOS account that doesn't block the distribution.
James, I'll also I'll reach out. So that's Leaf Horton. I believe who had that account, and he joined,
Okay.
and we weren't familiar with that rule, and we didn't explain it to him. So I think that the best course of action here is that I'll reach out to Leaf today and ask him if he can use a different account, and then we'll just use that account differently so he can still get the respect and EOS for being there. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Do you think?
Yeah, that's certainly the most that's the nicest way to do it. So yeah, if you'd like to reach out and get that, that's great. Otherwise, yeah, we can and I think probably ideally we would have the contract be you have to claim your EOS, then we wouldn't have this problem. We would just say everybody has to go claim their EOS when they want their own distribution. But if we do that, there's significantly higher RAM burden on the contract, which now has to store everybody. It has to store the results of consensus instead of just distributing and forgetting, which is what it currently does. And it just is more development work. So that's not the way it currently is. So yeah, currently it's important to not have not block the distribution.
Okay, cool. Thanks. And I think that's something that until I don't know how much work that would take or if that's feasible to do those technical infrastructure or technical improvements with claiming. But I suppose another thing we can do is just make that rule clear that in the future, if you do that, then you won't receive it. And we can have that in the agreement that people have to sign and stuff.
Yeah, which we should do that. We should set up an agreement and have people sign that sooner rather than later.
Yep. That's
so that we have precedent for, like, if we wanted to, if we had that in there and everybody had signed it, this would be a non-issue. We just remove the name and go. But yeah.
Question, the tool React for voting is pointing on the hidden frac test still, or it will be put linked with the hidden ƒractal smart contract, because there are the action submit cons to migrate there and elect ƒractal, something like that.
Yeah, I did last week, did unit tests for those two actions.
Okay.
So if James will review them and he likes them.
Nice.
Then...
Yeah, I'll review this week.
Okay, super. Thank you.
All right, sweet, Dylan. James, while we have you here real quick, that was what I was going to lead with, is I think the user agreement is the first, like the next on our priority list that I think would be awesome if we can figure out how we can get that done ASAP, because as soon as we get that, then I mean, it's, you know, obviously for right now with the funding coming from Dan for the swarms, that's kind of what's kind of holding us off from doing that. And then also maybe potentially implementing the addendum that was proposed in the Eden ƒractal, because I think that's a good way to separate two pool of funds, one for incentivizing and onboarding just basic participation, and then the second pool, the heavier pool for the stronger contributions towards this ƒractal.
So in the Genesis ƒractal, if you have not signed the contributor agreement on Hive, you do not get a respect distribution. It's just if you're going to show up and participate in the weekly meeting, it's assumed and also enforced that you have signed the contributor agreement on Hive. Our smart contract currently, the Eden ƒractal smart contract, has already an action that would allow us to upload an agreement and allow people to submit an action that says agree, sign. So the capability is already there for us to have an agreement on chain and have an on-chain validation that people agree to it. I don't know if there's any front end, Vlad, that has maybe the front end could have something at some point that shows the agreement and maybe has a big red warning if you haven't signed it or something like that, or I don't know, but the back end is already there. We could do it today and just have people sign on blocks if we just provide some simple instructions for how you submit that action. That would be at least I think the quickest route, because it's actually already there. We just need an agreement to get uploaded.
I also asked Dan Larimer about this about 2 weeks ago or so after the Genesis Fractally meeting, and he recommended that we wait until the new agreement comes out from the Fractally Genesis team, and I think he seemed cool with us kind of copy and pasting that because that has a lot more considerations with the general partnerships and legal status of DAOs and so forth. So I suppose we could go ahead and just do it now and basically copy and paste the current Genesis Fractal contributor agreement and just make a couple changes and tweaks here, or we could wait until approximately August 6th when I believe Dan Larimer is aiming to share that new one by.
And in the UI of Vlad, there will be just a checkbox to say, I agree to the agreement. And when you check this box, that will call the action agree. I don't remember the name of the action, but that will push sign on the chain that we have agreed to this agreement, that we agree to this agreement. That's that, something like that. And if we have to read the agreement, there will be a link that open a new window that we can read this agreement. That would be nice.
Yeah, it might be better. Is something you're going to say, James? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Okay.
Okay, guys.
What's that? You say you got to go, Marco? Oh, thanks, Marco. Okay, cool. See ya. Thanks, Marco. I think it might be better like with Hive, the way it currently is for the Genesis Fractal is it's on Hive, and in order to say you agree, you have to scroll through it and read it, and many companies also do that as well, where you can't check it. And being that it's important that everybody reads it, then I think that it's probably better to make it more explicit, where rather than just a checkbox. I don't know if it's a big deal, but it's probably better if it's possible to make it so that people have to read it in the user interface, or makes it more likely that people will read it rather than just checking a box and not reading it.
Yeah,
user doesn't
yes,
want
I
to
agree
read it.
without to read.
Yeah, we can, I think between me and Vlad and whoever else wants to be in the tool development side of this, we can figure out a solution that makes it simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think if the user doesn't want to read it, then he will not read it anyway.
Good point.
That's
Exactly.
yeah, it's true. He's reading it, but yeah, just having it where it's not just a checkbox where it makes it easy for them to just click it. I suppose it may be a good idea. Give them more of an opportunity to read it. And then I'm also curious. I don't know if we want to continue this topic or if anybody has any other thing that you want to bring up. But something on a related note is, and something I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about, James, is before the meeting, I suggested that I think that we should start with an interim group consensus process similar to the Fractally Genesis group. And I think that'll be really helpful for enabling this community to express opinions and make rules and so forth as a community. So I think that's one of our highest priorities. And I think that whereas the Genesis Fractally group does it with people who are ranked 6 in that current week, who get to vote on proposals, and the proposals are submitted on Hive, and they can be submitted by rank 5 or 6, I believe. People that I think we should basically do it in the same way, but with 2 changes. One, we'll do it where we vote on consortium and make our proposals on consortium rather than Hive. That's an EOS app that Vlad builds. And then 2, I think that we should do it where people who are ranked 4, 5, or 6 all can vote each week rather than just people who are ranked 6. That's partially because the groups are relatively smaller here. So like today we only had 3 6s. So that makes it so more people are voting. And then also I feel like it just kind of, just because the community dynamic, it makes more sense to have more people who are voting each week. But I'd be curious to hear everybody's thoughts about that, and happy to further explain if people are curious about the reasoning.
Sounds good to me. I think the fact that there's only there might only be a couple groups is a good reason to have more than just rank 6. If you only have 3 people, that's not a lot of people.
Yep. There's also the option of doing just 5 or 6, of course, and that would be less people. But I think that at this point, like we can always change it. So if we grow and there's
Yeah.
40 people coming every week, then we can use the same governance process to say, okay, rather than 4, 5, and 6, we'll do it to 5 and 6. And
Yeah, you just need to start somewhere. So
Yeah, and
it's fine.
to kind of like, for those who aren't familiar with what happened over with Fractally, when Dan proposed this, that week that he proposed it, we did the process, and then we voted on if we wanted to accept that. So ideally here, now that we're discussing that, this is something for everyone to take into consideration, so that either we come with the 2 proposals that is being voted on, of like whether we go with 4 or, you know, whatever that number is. And then that's just going to move us forward. Cause yeah, I think what James is saying is like, basically we get started, and then it can always change. But, you know, right now is, I think, an opportunity for everyone to like now kind of think about it. And then, yeah, whoever comes up with a proposal obviously is what we could vote on. But, yeah, I think if we get that as soon as possible, that helps. Cause yeah, that will help with, starting to get us in a direction of moving together.
And Jorge asked in the chat, what's the voting for? If it isn't clear, this is the interim consensus process. So there's some process that we need by which we can agree as a group to make changes to the parameters of this organization.
But
yeah.
So
And
the ultimate process is like the council and all that stuff that's described in the Fractally white paper, but none of that exists technically yet. So how do we, in the meantime, reach consensus on anything as a whole group? And that's what the interim process is for.
sorry, something that I don't understand. Eden Fractal is independent at the moment of the Fractally genesis, right?
Correct.
yes.
So why we should wait on the final August 6 document of Daniel Larimer about UNA and all that? What we should?
So
I don't understand.
that I can send you a video if you'd like, where I spoke with Dan Larimer about this. But basically, we should have an Eden contributor agreement here that makes it clear exactly what we're doing here to all participants, and make sure everybody's agreeing to the same thing, and protects everybody in the Eden Fractal from various kinds of legal liability. So we should have that. And I think the best way to do it is to work with what Dan Larimer and the Fractal team have already written, because they know much more about it than I do, or I think most of us do, and that they've already written a thoughtful document. I asked Dan Larimer about this a few weeks ago after a Fractally call, and he said,
okay,
I think he was basically cool with us basically copying and pasting most of it, and then we can just make our own tweaks. But he recommended waiting until August 6th to use essentially the one that they're coming out with, the new one on August 6th, which will provide more legal protection and make it more clear and so forth. So it's completely independent, but it's something that's very helpful for Eden Fractal as well. So that's why I think that we should do that. Does that make sense?
Yes and no.
Yes. So yeah, I see where, kind of what Patrick's getting at too. So basically August 6th puts us 2 more meetings where we would have no user agreement. And as far as like the swarms, I guess we wouldn't be using the swarm technology. I'm still but we could potentially use, one right now, like the current one that's out, if we want to. I think now it'd be good for us to start to think about maybe laying out some milestone dates. Now we got August 6th, two meetings here. Doesn't seem like that's too long to wait either. So I appreciate also, Patrick, I get because this was brought up too from Chris, and I'd like to hear a little bit more from Chris too. We're taking the Fractally process and we're innovating on it. We don't have to be exactly like what they're doing, but we're going to take the best ideas and we're going to put our own spin on it too. But also with a lot of respect, though, that this technology is coming from the Fractally team. So obviously that's taken heavily into consideration too. So, but if it makes sense, and we have ideas, we should yeah, we are we're experimenting with the process. This helps the Fractally team, and this allows us to have our own voice and also kind of our own vision with Dan's technology. So
Good point. Yes.
Yeah, and Patrick, if there's anything not clear about this, I'd be happy to discuss this both now or later. And now's also a good time in case anybody else isn't clear about it. But I think that having this this eat and contribute agreement, it's certainly in the best interest of the group to establish that. And then also to kind of answer Jorge's question, and also James asked kind of a similar question in the developer chat a few days ago that I haven't had a chance to respond to, but I think James asked like what kind of proposals might be on the consortium. And
Yeah.
that's sort of similar to what Jorge is saying too, in like what's the voting for. So it can be anything really. So I mean, the first rules I think that we should establish, some of them are, one, in order to participate, you have to sign that eat and contribute agreement that has other rules and explanations within it, sharing how respect and EOS or so forth are opinions of the community, and the opinion of the community can change and so forth, so everybody understands like the kind of philosophy behind what we're doing here. And then there's quite a lot of stuff in there that is well written that's helpful for us to include. So that's one thing. Also making it so people have to have EOS accounts. Currently, like if somebody comes up and they don't have an EOS account, we have kind of an awkward situation where like me as a host or whoever else as a co-host or just the whole community as a whole has to figure out like, what do we do if this person doesn't have an EOS account? So like we can set up rules making it so people have to have EOS accounts, just like how the Genesis Fractal makes it so you have to have a Hive account in order to participate. And if you don't, then you can't join the breakout room. Also make it so people have to speak English, at least some good level of English where they'll be able to communicate sufficiently well enough and the community can decide that. Also to, there's a couple other rules too that I think are good to include that are escape my mind. They've written down, but then they can also be used for anything too. Like if we decide for one day you want to make it so we all wear like blue shirts or something like that, then technically we can make a proposal where everybody has to wear a blue shirt. It's up to the community if they want to respect that proposal, but that's a way for the community to voice the community's opinion. And we can do things for more practical purposes too. Like if we say we want to change the time to 15 minutes earlier or something like that, then that's a way that we can all agree to do so. And in some ways it's just a signaling power, and the community still has decision to do it, but it's a way to do it and signal things in like in a simple and incredibly neutral and elegant system. And then also
manner.
Yeah, in decentralized manner. Yeah, so it's not just like one person or a couple people like dictating it, but it's a community putting it in. It's all on chain what people are agreeing to.
Also, respect that gets distributed from these meetings can be considered your collateral. Your collateral with this community. It's your stake in the community. So respect is a token, but one of the philosophical points that at least in the Genesis Fractal we're really trying to hammer home is that you, just like in real life, you don't own the amount of respect that people have for you. The amount of respect that you have is a function of consensus of your peers. And so similarly, if there was somebody who had been to these meetings, had gotten respect distributions, and they have respect, they only have respect insofar as the community continues to respect them, just like real life respect. So if there were somebody that started to actively harm the community, and there was consensus that somebody was actively harming the community, and in real life, your respect is dropping for that person, it could be grounds for a proposal to be made on consortium or wherever to actually just remove their respect because they do not own that token.
Are the tokens not being sent directly into my account currently?
They are, but it's just like every token on EOS is a smart contract. So if you can just update any smart contract and change the balances. You can have an action on a pick your favorite token that says give all of that token to James Smart, and then it would just change your balance to my balance. That's why it's very important for token contracts to be multi-sigged or in the control of, because
that's what we did into this hidden fractal from the get-go. We do an sig.
And so what we're talking about is intentionally having a mechanism by which a community can reclaim respect from people who violate the expectations or of the community.
But you can't take the EOS I got.
White paper.
No, we
in
can't
the-
take the EOS
Yeah,
without control of
but-
the EOS contract. You'd not be able to.
But the block producers can take it too, and the same
Right, the block
and-
producers can.
and the same dynamic there too works too. Like you can think of it as the EOS that you have is like the respect from the EOS community that's
Right.
being custodied by the block producers, and that's also like they could decide to change that if they want to, and that's their decision.
Which is grounds for why if a hacker steals EOS from a contract, they did not legitimately earn that. And so if you have this view of tokens as the opinion, which really is obvious, if you think about a consensus mechanism, we're talking about consensus. We're talking about the consensus of a community about how our resources get allocated. And so it is also within the purview of the block producers to take tokens from a hacker that were illegitimately acquired.
This is a very interesting concept because it's basically the idea of being independent. And so now if all of a sudden so the community starts to have a divergent of how they'd like to proceed, and I don't agree with that, I become ostracized. And even though I might have done good work in the past, it's not even that I've turned into a dickhead. Maybe it's the community's gone a different way. So we're not is very much under the control. That's like mob rule essentially. So is this a step forward in democracy?
Is it mob rule though, if you're not really taking into consideration the communities, you don't have to participate in a community that is reaching consensus in a way that you feel is unfair. And so I think that the best consensus communities are going to be the ones that are valued and people will want to be in. So it's all about respecting the rules of, and also to a certain extent that this is there is value associated with it. So taking somebody's value because somebody does something wrong, like that's very that's like a worst case scenario, I would think. But I also think this allows a lot of flexibility and independence, because then you're no longer corrupt to like whatever system you're on. So for example, this is like I've used before, like this is Eden's contingency. If we were not to get, all things like, obviously I hope for the best, but if EOS didn't want to support us, the Eden respect is like, technically it can be applied anywhere else and then paired with whatever other currency. And so that's kind of the whole idea behind like fractal community currencies, at least kind of how I'm interpreting it is it's based on the community's value, and then you can peg it to some sort of asset. And in this case, it's being pegged to the EOS currency. Which has liquidity, which adds value to the respect token, because like now if you can swap the two, then like now you have a liquid token where you can have real world applications as far as being able to get actual money to pay for things.
Yeah, those are good points, Felix. Thank you. Great points. Two things I'd like to add to one about what Chris was saying. So any community should have the power over their own consensus and so forth. And then communities are, I suppose, held in check, although there's a better way to say it. If a community is acting in a way where they're like taking advantage of that and they're saying they're ostracizing, Chris, who's doing great work, or Jesse, who's doing great work, or anything like that, then that's a reason to respect that community less and interact with that community less. When the community does things that are trustworthy and respectable, then that's a reason to respect it more. So for some reason, the Eden fractal, the governments decide to say, oh, we're going to just take away Chris's Eden tokens and we're going to take away Vlad's Eden tokens, whatever like that. Then like, first off, that wouldn't happen because like we're all cool and we're all like in alignment. But if it did, then we'd be like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't interact with the Eden fractal anymore. Maybe we should interact with a different Eden group or a different fractal community or something like that. So there's all like, there's different dynamics where the community always can take that action because it's their own consensus. But if they do something that's not right, then people won't respect that. And then the other thing I was going to say too is we're kind of looking, I think Felix kind of mentioned this, we're kind of looking at it from like the extreme as far as like reallocating somebody's respect, but there's also many other situations where rules can help too. So for example, another thing that I remembered that I forgot before, but another rule that I think that we should consider in the near future is being on video. So right now, the new legend, Jayan, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, isn't on video, although we can see his face in the thing. And I also saw the new legend at the other meeting that we had that was hosted by Chris and Gabriel with Helios the other day. So I know that the new legend's a real person. He also spoke with me the other day. So I think it's totally fine that he's on video right now, but there's also been times when somebody else was on video and you don't know who they are, but it's like, how do we decide? And hey, great to see the new legend. Thanks for turning on the video. But yeah, like having this process determines like, okay, well, does everybody have to be on video? Maybe if they're an Eden member, they don't have to be on video. Or maybe if we know them and the top people who are ranked, who are leveled, can agree that this person's okay not to be on video, then they can be. But like this gives us a process to make all sorts of decisions like that, and for basically any kind of purpose. And I see Ami's got his hands raised.
Yeah, hi, Chris. I totally understand your point of view. I think, James, that in the Fractally white paper, it was said that the tokens are locked. You can only liquidate 5% every week, and you can only take one transaction per week. So I think the idea behind it is that you don't want the token to be too liquid and too volatile, and you want people to invest in the group, in the Fractal, because the Fractal is a way to incentivize and align people's efforts towards a common goal. And it should, if people are aligned, then everything should be okay. But and your own basket that's locked in your account, but you can only take 5% every week. So if you want to live, don't do harm, just pull 5% every week, and gradually you're gonna deplete that account and leave the community.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like, so it's only mob rule if mob rule is the consensus mechanism of the community. That's why it all boils down to how legitimate is the mechanism by which a community reaches consensus. So if you have a consensus mechanism that's compelling enough to opt into, and you're willing to trust that community that they're not just going to take your tokens at the moment you say something that's out of line with the community's vision. I mean, like that has to be part of the values of that community. Yeah, it's kind of like a replacement for the court system. The courts are a system just totally outside of blockchain that can take your assets, and they do it with violence. So we need a fully decentralized alternative, a blockchain native alternative to the court system, something that is opt-in. It's driven by the consensus, and it's legitimate, and its legitimacy comes not from violence, but comes from the way that it respects human opinions, and naturally people opt into it because they trust the way that that community reaches consensus. And you can still have a system like the courts that are able to adjudicate on matters. And so I completely agree that if the consensus mechanism can be boiled down to mob rule, then it has failed to be legitimate.
That's where I think it comes down to also the leaders of the community too, the respect of the leaders within the community. If you have built-in trust with those leaders too, then all the leaders can hold each other accountable. If one leader is in a sense, I guess, becoming ostracized, like that's when it's the responsibility of other leaders to step up and be like, hey, that's not cool. We don't do that here. I don't respect that. And then that starts to, like I said, the flexibility with the respect also allows for forks to move and be flexible, to move in the right direction, the correct direction. Like if you truly believe that people are going to follow the best well-intended leaders and people of these communities.
And also, sorry, Jesse, I'll point to you in 1 second. I just wanted to quickly respond to Chris about Bitcoin. In 2013, there was a reorg in Bitcoin because of a bug that happened, and there was there was over 60 Bitcoin that were just deleted from people's accounts in 2013, and it was very consensual. Everybody agreed that that reorg should have happened because there was a bug that caused the reorg to happen. But I say that only to
Nothing's perfect.
provide evidence, yeah, that it's all at the end of the day a consensus mechanism. And if you do have consensus of any community, including Bitcoin, you can do a reorg and people can lose tokens. But it's a consensus.
That's certainly an extreme view. I think that the point is this respect thing is not nearly as extreme. It sounds to me anybody can be decided that you don't fit in anymore. What, that vaccine that 95% of the people got, you don't want to get it? Sorry, boss, you're out of the club. It just seems that's so willy-nilly. Anyway, good, whatever. See how it goes. I would caution that don't treat respect tokens like they have any intrinsic value, because this is way. So don't treat it that way. That's fine.
I would caution you to withhold judgment until you understand the consensus mechanism and understand like the arbitration system.
I can't be rationally ignorant. I thought this whole thing was rational ignorance was okay.
No.
So I think if I could jump in here, I think I've been like pondering about since the Fractally white paper came out, that the Fractally white paper has basically an exchange rate between the respect token and EOS or whatever, and that assumes these respect tokens have value. And I've been really wondering about that. I'm not sure. I'm very looking forward to seeing how that works. And to Chris, I want to just respond. I know we've gotten like pretty philosophical, but the more practical consideration in this group, this is assuming the respect tokens have value. If they do have value and you can exchange them to another asset, then Chris, you can just sell your respect tokens into EOS, and then they can't take it from you. So it's not like, it's inaccurate to say that, oh, I can do all this work in the past and the community can take my tokens. If you are uncomfortable like with the possibility of getting your tokens taken, you don't need to keep that. And you can sell your respect, assuming respect has value. Assuming of respect, I think respect has value, but assuming respect has financial value is very interesting to me. And that has not really been proven ever. I know the Fractally team is trying to do that. And so assuming they're correct in that, then I think the system can work. But we have yet to see that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And to those who want to like, I'm just pointing out, it's not like Bitcoin. There's obviously a huge difference here. And that's subjective nature of, if you don't go along with community, they can just take away your tokens that you've earned in the past for things that they did value at the time because you've changed or they've changed. It's just an interesting dynamic. Definitely important to make that known to people. If you're going to stake your respect, do so with caution, and make sure if you do stake it and there's a time delay before you can pull your respect out of the state, if there's like a staking period involved, don't change your opinion too quickly until you get that done, because maybe you lose it before you get a chance to get it out.
So let me maybe give a preview about what the mechanism that we're going to propose in the Genesis Fractal might look like for example, reclaiming tokens. So this isn't final. No, I don't think any of this has been talked about yet, but it just might give you a better idea, Chris, of like why the process isn't quite as willy-nilly as maybe it sounds like to say that, oh, you can just take people's tokens. So what the process might look like is something like, if you want to make a claim that there was some violation and that somebody ought to have their tokens taken away, or some amount of tokens taken away, you can propose that, which also bears a cost to you. So you pay some amount to propose that. And then the person who you are making a claim against can make a counter proposal that has, that it can include whatever they want. So they can say, this is complete bullshit and I should have no tokens taken away. Or they can say, okay, I really did do some infraction. I propose slightly less tokens taken away than what you're proposing. And then the council has no authority to decide how many tokens to take or to make unilateral decisions. The council's only position, their only job would be to decide on which of the two proposals is fairer. So if I think that Dan did something terrible and I want to take all of his tokens, I really have to think twice about proposing take all of his tokens, because is that really going to be the most fair thing? So I'm going to scale. It makes you have an incentive to scale back what you're proposing as the restitution for the scenario to be actually fair. And the council's job is just to think about the scenario and the two proposals, and they have a binary decision, this proposal or this proposal, which is more fair. And there's a cost to make any kind of proposal that would involve restitution of that kind. So it's similar to, if you remember the metaphor Dan's used in Molecular Animals with the cookie, and having you're trying to get the most fair outcome. So you have people split the cookie and the council choose.
Yeah, great point, James, and thank you very much for saying that. One thing I want to add too is there's another metaphor that Dan's employed, that DAOs are like pure information, and so every community, every Eden or every ƒractal, every DAO has consensus over its ledger, but it's just up to people how much to respect that. So it can be easily forked. If a community like the Eden ƒractal does something that people don't respect, and people have a different vision for how the Eden ƒractal could be, then people could start up a different contract, ƒractal.eden, with different owners or whatever name really, and use the same exact ledger. And then if people respect that community who's using that different ledger that was forked from it more, then everybody could leave that first community if they wanted to, and just use the existing ledger from the new community and pick up where they left off, and the market can figure out how much they value it. So and there's also been some great comments in the chat, and I feel like Felix has shared some great points, saying the value is linked with the assets that are paired with the respect in the community, and it's all about the culture of the community and setting up systems of respect. I wouldn't respect a community that finds it acceptable to take away someone's earned value. So like, it's about the culture of the community, and it's about empowering people with the freedom to choose what communities to respect and which communities to trust, and then have that information free. So if a community isn't doing something that's trustworthy and respectable, but some people want that ledger still, then they can use that ledger and repurpose it in a different way for their own respect of a new community.
Jorge?
I think you muted Jorge.
Hey guys, what's up? So several weeks ago, I made a post, a Hive post, whose link I just posted on the chat, which is close to what Chris is mentioning. The post is about possible attack vectors on ƒractal democracy. And the first vector I identified was noise. So suppose a malicious actor acts in a way as to increase noise in the community so as to create confusion. And in the middle of that confusion, that actor, by some means, for example, he has a centralized communications platform, or any way to promote, to inoculate an idea within the community, so as to, within the noise, alter the consensus, alter the direction the mind of the community is moving. So I do think that Chris is being a little harsh with the way things are going, but I want to say that I've already identified that exact point. And the fact that two individuals independently have identified the same weakness within the protocol should be a warning sign for everyone here, because those were independent findings of the same fact. That's a suggestion of something is going on there. And
what is the weakness that you're referring to, Jorge?
the fact that the community can be controlled, well, any of these communities can be controlled pretty much in the same way that entire societies are controlled, which is whoever manages the main ideas, like the powerful ideas that control a society within a current era, that person is going to control that society. And that also can happen within these fractal democracy systems. As I said, I posted a Hive post some weeks ago. I just linked the link in the chat.
So how can one person control it though? Because the system is built up with governance processes whereby no one individual can do it. I mean, currently we're talking about enacting a interim consensus process where there'll be at least 6 or 9 or 12 people on any given week that are changing.
The thing is that it doesn't have to be a member within the community. The mechanisms you are mentioning work for members within the community. But suppose, for example, that tomorrow CNN decides to propel a campaign against whatever thing we have here within our communities. And that campaign happens to generate so much noise that people within the community begins to change opinion, and a lot of confusion is created. And then within that confusion, the attacker, which is external to the community, use that communications power to inoculate an idea, a direction that the community should take. For example, removing the respect from any given account. That's the point I'm making.
Okay, thank you for explaining. Yeah, I'd be curious to hear if anybody has any thoughts about this, but I think that, I mean, there's always a risk that people can be convinced with bad ideas from somebody else, but it's up to us to make our mind up both as individuals and as a community in the way that's for the best of the community, and especially that we're gathered together, then we can do that. And personally, I wouldn't be very swayed by many things that CNN said, and I don't think it would have much effect on our organization. And also, I don't think it's a big like a threat vector right now, because we're just like 11 people in a room right now that are working with our own consensus.
Yeah, please, guys, keep in mind that I am totally defending our protocol and our fractal democracy system. I'm just saying that in the future, there might be some attack vectors that we could prepare or keep in mind from the very beginning.
Yeah, I think Jorge, I like that, Jorge. You're like extrapolating more mainstream adoption and the potential of outside influence from influencers already in the current world that we don't have respect, right? But every influencer has a certain level of respect, kind of, right? That's not, no one has a token, but an influencer could come here and then have a lot of weight, because then all of their followers could come and just like kind of rise them up. That's why it's really important. The community is key, and the leaders of the community, like the stronger those relationships get, and the stronger that core of that community get, that's where the power is of the community, of really being able to stick with a strong culture of just doing the right thing.
Yeah,
Can I comment on this topic, Jorge?
Sure.
Because you bring up a really good point. That is an attack vector. So Chris made a really good point in the chat. It's about how restrictive new member onboarding is. And I want to highlight that, because imagine if, for example, Mr. Beast on a YouTube video just said, "Hey, everyone, let's go join the Genesis Fractal," and posted a link. And then we get 2 million people that join it instantly. The next consensus meeting will be 99.9% Mr. Beast followers, and they are going to completely overwhelm the consensus of the original community and take it in a completely new direction. So that is a completely valid and legitimate attack vector, to be overwhelmed by a separate community who decides to join and take over the community. There's a couple mitigations. One is protecting the community from that by having the community be invite only. so that you can't, it's not actually open access. Another is ultimately the thing that protects all blockchains, which is forkability. So at the end of the day, with any number of attack vectors, your last stand is the ability to fork and then honor the like, just basically take a sub community and proceed with that sub community. That's all I have to add.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I might just add here before you go, Jorge, if you don't mind, I just want to add, this is also relevant now too. It's something I'm actively thinking about. So I've been speaking with Jesse quite a bit, and Jesse is starting up the swarms with the EOSBs, and they are, and also Nicholas too. And the swarms are going really well so far. They're getting a lot of engagement, and there is the possibility. There is the possibility that well, I should first say Jesse was speaking about using the swarms to help promote the Eden Fractal event, which I think is a great idea to grow the Eden Fractal events and grow the community. But also we need to be careful too, because if one, either the EOSBs, there's many people who speak different languages and might not know very much about Eden and so forth. And then also if there's like a viral tweet that goes out and then we have 50 members and like that show up one day, you know, less extreme than Mr. Beast's example, but still possible, then that could potentially overwhelm the community. And that's also one of the reasons why having a community governance process in place is helpful to protect the community. So we can make rules like making it so it's invite only or something like that. Because right now there's just an open Zoom link, so anybody can click it. So we are rather vulnerable to that right now. And that's something that it's good to put these rules in place in advance so we don't get an awkward situation if that kind of thing happens. And sorry for interrupting you, Jorge, but please, I'm very interested to hear what you think.
Okay, so I want to stress that whoever a potential attacker is going to find really hard to attack a community that is self-organizing. Now, I've posted several YouTube videos in every channel I could, including Telegram and Discord, everywhere, regarding Tesla, the Tesla case, which is the closest thing we have in a successful ultra competitive environment to a self-organizing protocol. Now, the rules, the key for Tesla self-organization comes from several points. One of them being having efficient feedback systems so that each individual can access those systems and know where each change could alter direction. So I'm not gonna elaborate too much on this, but I ask you guys to please take a look at those videos. I think that could be a really game changer for us as a community to learn from this super successful organization. And thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Patrick, would you like to share something? You're muted right now, Patrick. And also, Chris is light up. I don't know if Chris is trying to say something, but there's my screen is showing that it's lit up, but I don't hear anything. Okay, Chris.
No, it wasn't me.
Okay. Patrick. See you, Ami. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ami.
Have a great day.
Yeah, I want just to come back on all what we said until now about the value of the respect and the potential attacks that Jorge lay out into his post on Hive and all this stuff. I think now with the price of EOS, how it is, that's not the moment to, I would say, it's the moment to collaborate more than ever, and we have to go iteratively with this Eden Fractal. We have to make good proposals, submit contributions, learn from what we do, and also we have some security mechanism on the smart contract with the MSIGs. So I think the people that are going into this hidden fractal is because they want to collaborate, and we will have some good mechanisms to onboard those people. And we are at the very beginning, so it's good to have in mind all the potential problems that can arise. But at the same time, we have to see the traction. We have to do marketing in parallel with your swarms of Jesse Jaffe, Grow Eden initiative, all that in conjunction with Eden Fractal. So I mean, we are a good group of people. We want to collaborate, share ideas, and yeah, there are scary things that can happen, but most we are independent, the better is. That's why I mean, Eden Fractal should be, at my opinion, a circle, loosely coupled, doing his things for what he has to do, make some collaboration with the EOS Swarms, the Grow Eden, because we are into the same community indeed, we know us, and be careful with the external incumbent advantages and all this stuff. I mean, ENF is ENF, they do their stuff. Us, we are Eden Fractal, we do our stuff. There is Fractally, he's doing, the Genesis one is doing his stuff. We can sure respect them and take some ideas for the Eden Fractal, but I would be not forget to brain ourselves, otherwise we become sheeps and we are not lions. We have to be very lion and think what we want to do. Okay, that's my cold talk. Okay.
Thanks, Patrick. I'm very much looking forward to hearing what Nicholas has to say. One thing I'll also say too, before we get into another thing, is that I have to leave in like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and I'm the host of this call. So would anybody else like to be the new host so you can continue speaking after I leave?
Yeah, I also have to leave as well, and I'm a co-host.
Okay.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you.
Is anybody planning to stick around afterwards and would like to be the host? Or if,
I'm also leaving in a couple minutes, so no.
Okay. If not, we can also wrap it up then too.
Are we a call
Nicholas
for the MSIG? Are we a call for the MSIG? You asked Dan today if we have a call for the MSIG or something.
We do have 5 of the members right now. Is that something that we should coordinate here, James, quickly, or?
Because here
or just do it over Discord?
5 p.m. In my evening. So in 1 hour, it's 6. So I will be available for a call if you want. So for the MSIG, you asked for a call. Yeah.
Is everyone free in an hour?
I might be free in an hour, and I'll certainly be free, or
in 2 hours.
In 2 hours, I have a call scheduled with Jesse, I think, but I can probably be around sometime around then. And I suppose we could figure out Discord. Maybe it's the easiest way to do it.
I am available if you need. Okay.
So let's figure it out on Discord. We'll do it now.
Okay, sounds good. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from Nicholas. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'd love to hear it if it's Jayan, or maybe I'll just say the new legend. And then also too, I'll just say, in case I have to leave in 4 minutes while people are talking, just thanks so much everybody for the great meeting as well.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Go ahead. You can give me co-host. I'll stick around.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Okay, I'm asking something unrelated. After I signed the, submitted the levels, and after that I am seeing 2 transactions from my account in blocks. So is that normal? Is that something part of this, or is it something else? I'm confused.
What is that you're seeing in blocks? Oh, please, James.
Post a link to your blocks account.
Yeah, I share the transaction.
Okay, and Nicholas had his hands up first, so maybe while New Legend's doing that, or while we check that out, maybe if Nicholas would like to speak.
Yeah, I just want to rebound to what Jorge said about the external attack. I believe it will happen. We will suffer from, because we need to remind that we had a bad reputation in 2018, but the whole Ethereum killer about that. So I believe that a lot of people don't like EOS. They leave us alone now because the market is low, etc. for that thing. And as soon as we're gonna get more intention, the crypto community will see that we are successful and the price will go up. They're gonna come back from the shadow and they're gonna try to bring us down as for all they can. Like, so I think we need to be prepared, because we basically don't know when the narrative will turn, as we call it. And I think this is something that we need to be working on as soon as possible. This is my opinion.
Yeah, sounds great, Nicholas. Thank you. And yeah, I agree. And I appreciate you mentioned then, and Jorge mentioned as well. It's important. And then also what Patrick was mentioning about, well, Patrick was saying lots of great stuff about being aligned and then also focusing on like growing and stuff, but it's also important to forecast the potential risks and so forth and things that will come up ahead. So I appreciate you and Jorge bringing that up. And yeah, I agree that as EOS gets more popular, then there'll be more potential threats or potential obstacles and so forth to look out for and be aware of.
That's true. That it will happen. I know that they will come for us. So
yeah, and when Dancing Joy will become more popular, also there will be a lot of hacks, I think.
Yeah, and then also when Mr. Beast comes in the community too, and we have 50 million people.
And Jesse Jaffe also, and Nova Crypto, and Chris Barnes, and all, when we become more popular.
But
yeah,
look, this is why I really do think, like, I look at everyone here. I'm just like, we have potentials to be very impactful leaders, especially if what we believe is going to happen happens. And so this is why it's core. Like, all of us here, I see this as like potential lifelong friends, and building these relationships are important. We all get aligned. We all have the same mindset. We've like I love that Chris is here, and he always he's offering a different viewpoint and some, like, I wouldn't say it's friction, right? It's good to have opposing views. But he's just curious as well. But he's been a big player in Eden from the beginning. Like, I've got mad respect for Chris. So like Chris, like, I know you're throwing out ideas and it's good, but like, my respect for you too is like, you know, no ostracizing is going to be happening unless it's like I will voice my opinion. You know, I'm not one to like, yeah, if we have big influencers, like, I don't get starstruck. Like, I've been around, you know, big people before, and like, everybody is the same. Everyone is equal. Nobody is better than the others, even though some people are more well polished than others. It doesn't matter. We're all equal, and we all should respect each other equally.
Well, some animals are a little more equal than others, but
well, it's a funny thing you mentioned this respect thing, because my last job, like, I've always been as opinionated as I am here. Like, I'm not trying to kiss people's ass. I'll just say what I think, and I'll try to say it nicely, but I'm not here to sugarcoat if I don't like. It's just, life's too short. So we had someone come in and they tried to explain that when you approach your colleagues, you have to always approach all of your colleagues with respect. And I said, like, they're like, that's the foundational layer. You have to respect everyone. And I was like, it was virtual. So I was one of the few guys who was virtual, because I wasn't at the office. And I'm like, are you sure? Because to me, it's like, what if someone's a jerk? Like, do I still have to respect them? Like, I would think that respect is earned. It's not just something you give away freely. You can be